Okay, so I had a student email me. He had a question on how to solve this problem. It's problem 12 out of chapter 7, and and then the Recipe platform. And it's a little bit tricky, so I thought I'd do a video here. So what I did is to save time, I took all this and put it in here. That's something you guys can do very easily on your own. And yeah, so I just took these numbers, put them in here. I put these in as percent because it's easier, but you could put them in a decimal. It's the same thing. So first thing is you're going to guess the weights. And I guess I could go here and I can go insert. This is for portfolio A and B, right? And so we could say, let's just say it's 50. We're going to put 50% of our money. Again, I formatted this percent. I'm going to guess 50% of my money. So this has to equal to 1 minus 50%, right? Because if I change this to 25%, I want to automatically change that to 75%. Let me put the formula in here. Okay, so these two together, if you look down here, they have to add up to 100%. Right? So now we can calculate the expected return of the portfolio. So I'm going to get rid of this and basically we want to find the Sharpe ratio of the optimum risky portfolio. In other words, we want to find what weights. First, we have to figure out what weights are the optimum risky portfolio, and that would be the one where the Sharpe ratio is a maximum. Okay, so it's a little bit tricky because you got to do two things. You got to kind of do two things at once. So the expected return of this is a key formulas out of your book, and the expected return of the portfolio is this formula right here. Instead of using B and S, we're going to use A and B. So the expected return is basically you do this as it's this weight times this return plus this weight times this return. And whenever I do that, I usually just use a sum product. It's just easier for me. That does it. It takes these, these expected returns and multiplies them times these weights and then adds them together. Okay? So that's the same thing as taking this times this plus this times this. It's just a real handy formula to know. All right, and then the variance of the portfolio, that's this formula right here. It's very complicated. And the problem is they gave us something called the correlation coefficient. And we don't have the correlation coefficient. We have the covariance. So in your book, it tells you if you don't have the correlation coefficient, you can substitute this equation in for the last term. So we'll go ahead and calculate the variance of the portfolio. It's equal to parentheses. And I'm just going to read what it says here. The weight of B, we'll use A, and then I guess I could do B first, and then we'll call SA. So the weight of B, which is what we calculated here, times the standard deviation of B, which is what we calculated right here. And then it says to square it, right? So we're going to go like this. And then, whoops, we're going to square it. And then we're going to have to add to that. And we'll use A instead of S as the weight of A times, let me put that in parentheses also, times the standard deviation of A. And we could square that. Okay. And then we're going to have to add 2 times the weight of A times the weight of B. And this is where we're going to put covariance instead of standard deviation in here, times the covariance. Times the weight of B times the covariance. Okay. And so we get the variance, and of course the standard, just like here, I didn't type these. If you go here and put the formula in, instead of typing, I just did the square root. All right, so I have the variance, the standard deviation is always the square root of the variance. So we can calculate the standard deviation. All right, so now finally for this portfolio, we can calculate the Sharpe ratio. It's going to be equal to, put parentheses because we want the whole numerator in parentheses. We don't want to divide this the last two, right? So we got to divide this whole quantity. So the expected return on the portfolio, we calculated that right here. Minus the risk-free rate. Well, this is considered, they're giving you this, considering that's a risk-free rate. And then we're going to divide it by the standard deviation of the portfolio we calculated right here. So this is a Sharpe ratio for just this weight. We want the Sharpe ratio of the maximum portfolio, right? So we're going to make Excel figure it out. We could actually just guess this. If I change this to 35%, it goes up a little bit, right? So I can just keep guessing the weight of A, which automatically calculates the weight of B, which automatically calculates this. I can keep guessing that until it gets as big as it can, a maximum amount, right? Kind of the hot and cold game. But Excel does it for you. We can just go here and go into data, and go into solver. Now, if you don't have solver, you can Google how to put solver. Let me reset all. Okay, so if you don't have solver, you can Google how to have that appear up here. And so we want to set the objective. We want this to be a maximum by changing this weight. Remember, we don't have to change this weight because this weight changes, because this is just 1 minus this. We're going to add some constraints just to make sure. We're going to say these two numbers have to be, we don't want them to be, do anything wacky. We want them to be both greater than 0. We won't have like negative amounts invested in anything. That added that in. It said these two numbers have to be greater than 0. And then finally we can just go solve and go okay. And hold on, it looks like I made a little mistake. Let me pause real quick. Okay, I don't know if I made a mistake. Let's just go ahead and check it. I'm gonna go ahead and go copy. I'm gonna go to our problem. Let me paste it in and see if it's right. Okay, so it was wrong. Okay, let me go check. Okay, I see where I made a mistake. I made a mistake doing this formula. So I'm going to do it again. I'm just going to go A and B in order. So I'm going to go equals, parentheses, the weight of A times the standard deviation of A. And then we're going to square it plus the weight of B. Oh, don't forget the parentheses. This is kind of a tricky thing to put in. Plus the weight of B times the standard deviation of B. Okay, we're going to square that. And then plus 2 times, and then remember we're going to go down here, weight of A, the weight of A plus times the weight of B times the covariance. Okay, and let's go ahead and change it back to 25%. Okay, so now let's just do it again. Just to give me a little error here. I don't know why it's giving me an error. I'm not going to worry about it. This looks like some product of those times those. That looks okay. What does it say here? A miscegenation, so that's okay. All right. Sometimes it gives you little errors and they're not a problem. All right, so let's try solver again. So I'm going to go solver, solve. Okay. So now it adjusted the weights. Now this, let's just check this. Copy. Go back to here. Let's try it again. And we got it right. Okay, so let's paste that in there under Shift S. We can paste it back into our solution just to have it. And we got it right. All right, so hopefully that made sense. You gotta be very careful. I made a couple little errors the first time, and then I just redid this, and things came out. Let me go ahead and paste in the solver. Well, you saw how I did solver. So let me paste it in here just to make sure. I'll let you look at it. Normally what I do this. I do this. I copy it. Just let me close this. Let it solve again. Oh, I made a mistake. Okay, let's see what happened. This should have been here, right? Okay, so I just usually paste it in here. That's a mistake now, because I had that in the wrong spot. Let me paste it again. So I usually paste it in like this. And then I usually say something, my solver parameter, I copy my solver parameter so I have them. The next time if I have someone else, then I usually say something here called use solver or something. Because remember, solver adjusted these in order to maximize that. And this is the answer you want. Anyway, hopefully that makes sense. That's kind of a tricky problem. I hope I didn't jump around too much. It's even trickier when I make a mistake. But hopefully it made sense in the end. I decided to leave the mistake in there because It's good for you guys to see that professors can make mistakes too. All right. See you later. Thanks for watching. Oh, if you like this video, my picture will come up here. You can click on that to subscribe. Leave me any comments. I'd like to see comments. Thumbs up if you liked it. All right. Thank you. Bye-bye.